Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Monday, April 8th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Akron game in 145 days, the game against Michigan in 236 days. Monday is a rather remarkable day in the state of Ohio. For the first time since 1806, 3 years after the founding of the state, and Tony Gerdeman's sophomore year at Ohio State, for the first time since 1806, the state of Ohio is going to be seeing a total solar eclipse on Monday. Pretty big deal. People are going all over the place and going a little nuts. That's okay. We're going to try and keep it a little more topical here, but still kind of on topic with the eclipse. We're talking about Ohio State players who have a chance to eclipse. Get it? Some marks, records, etc. that have been set as sort of the standard. Buckeyes who have a chance to eclipse those marks coming up later this year. Let's bring in Tony Gerdeman of BuckeyeHuddle.com to answer some questions. Tony, let's start with this one. Well, first of all, do you get it? Eclipse? Get it? Yes, because of the sun thing, Tony. Yes. Okay, good. I was worried you weren't going to have to get it, and I was going to have to spell it out further. But here we go. Tony, over the last 10 years, the most times the Buckeyes have had two running backs, each run for 100 yards or more in the same game. So two running backs in the same game, running for 100 yards each, was two back in 2022. Travion Henderson and Mayan Williams did it against Wisconsin. Mayan Williams and Dallin Hayden did it against Indiana. Tony, will Ohio State eclipse that mark this year by having two running backs run for 100 yards each in a game 3 times or more? I will accept total eclipse as an answer if they're going to do it 3 times or more, or partial eclipse if they're going to do it exactly 2 times.
So this Jeopardy, I have to phrase the answer correctly. Tom, I will say begrudgingly, little hatefully, total eclipse. 2 seems pretty low. I was a little surprised when you just mentioned it. It's only 2. Again, got more games this season. I think the running attack will be better. If you go back to the last time Ohio State had a quarterback that could run or would run, 2019 and 2020, they led the Big Ten in rushing by a wide margin. So I think they'll get back to some of that. And maybe we'll even get the Travion Henderson, Dallin Hayden connection that we did not get in 2022. But this seems pretty safe to me. I feel not that eclipses are safe. We know they're dangerous. Very, very a lot of superstition there, and who knows what's going on behind the sun. We don't know. But this feels like a safe total eclipse for me.
So yeah, it does feel like they're going to at least match that this year. Just because you got Travion Henderson, you get Quinshon Judkins, they're going to split the carries. They're both guys who can pop off a big run that gets you a lot of the way there. Yeah, I'm with you. It feels like they're at least going to match and possibly exceed that. Now, if you include quarterbacks, they did it 3 times in 2015. That was each time was J.T. Barrett and Ezekiel Elliott. And they did it 4 times in 2013. That was Carlos Hyde and Braxton Miller each time. But to do it with 2 running backs and not with a quarterback being one of those guys, that's a little more difficult for them to do, historically speaking. But having a running quarterback might open up some things in the run game for the running backs as well. So we will see. I forgot to look. I think the last time they had 3 players run for 100 yards, I think they might have done that in 2011. That was one of those things that I probably should have looked up and then didn't. But yeah, so all right. So we're betting the over there, if we will, on that one. All right, Tony. Chris Carter, as a true freshman in 1984, 41 catches, 648 yards, 8 touchdowns. By the way, if you go and look this up on Sports Reference, those are not going to be the numbers that actually show up, because back then bowl game stats did not count towards your actual, did not count towards your season totals. So you're going to look and you're going to say, those idiots, why do they have bigger numbers than it says here? That's why. So Chris Carter, 41 catches, 648 yards, 8 touchdowns as a true freshman. Tony, Jeremiah J.J. Smith, will he fully or partially eclipse each of those 3 numbers this year?
Tom, I feel like Columbus, Ohio is in the path of totality on this one. And it's not safe to say this. It is not. It's not cool to be throwing these kind of expectations on a true freshman. But as we've said before, this is his fault. This is not our fault. We're just reacting to what has been happening and what we're seeing and what we're being told. And feels like the 41 catches. That to me, strangely feels like the most difficult target in this. But until I see otherwise, in the little that I've seen, I'm going to have to go with outrageous expectations. Until I am proven otherwise, I'm going to stick with the total Eclipse on this one. And you can try to talk me out of it. Maybe after a drop in the spring game, I will back off.
We're going to get to see him and the rest of the team at practice on Friday and then at the spring game on Saturday. So we're going to have a lot more information a week from now than we do at the moment. But yeah, between what we've been hearing and what we have seen in our limited opportunities this spring, I am kind of grudgingly going along there with you. I think the odds that he hits all three of those and exceeds all three of those, that feels not too likely to me. I don't know which one I feel like is. I could kind of talk myself into any individual one of those being like, well, that's probably going to be the one that he doesn't hit. You know, to exceed 8 touchdowns as a true freshman, that's a lot. To exceed 41 catches as a true freshman, that's a lot. 648, it's obviously the record for a true freshman at Ohio State. That, strangely, I think to me feels like the one that's most likely to fall, the yardage total, then maybe the touchdowns and then the catches, but I don't know that I'm comfortable betting against him on any of those. And, maybe the touchdowns push and that makes it not quite as, not a completely, totally 100% record breaking true freshman year, but if he breaks 41 catches and breaks 648 yards and only Tony gets 8 touchdowns, that's not bad, I guess. I mean, at the level of that expectations continue to be increasing for him at the rate at which they continue to be increasing, that might be considered a disappointing season by some people. That would be a pretty good season. We will see. All right, let's switch sides of the ball to the defense. Now, Tony, Ohio State had 7 interceptions in 2023, tied for 112th in the country. They had 11 interceptions in 2022, tied for 51st in the country. Those are the 2 years of the Jim Knowles defense. I'm going to ask you, 7 is incredibly low. 11 is really average. Tony, I'm going to ask you to put those two together. 18 interceptions the first 2 years of the Jim Knowles defense. Will they eclipse 18 interceptions this year? Bearing in mind, number one, they got everyone back on defense, and number two, they are probably playing several more games than they have the previous couple of years.
Yeah, with the idea that all of these numbers all came from 12, 13, 14 game schedules, some 11 game schedules, this being a 16, possibly a 16 game schedule, 17 game schedule, you feel like you just kind of shoot for the moon. Tom,
I don't get
it. Don't no sell me on this Eclipse stuff now. After what you've been asking me to do here. The 18 interceptions, they've done that before. And I think 2016, they were in the 20s, I think. And of course, it helps when you've got Malik Hooker to be able to do something like that. 18 interceptions. These things also come in waves. And I don't know that, I don't know if the Big Ten quarterbacks are all that great. So maybe they'll get some there. And certainly they're not playing anything in the non-conference. So, 18, Tom. Well, I'm sure you're not going to hit this exactly. So it's either no eclipse or total eclipse, because I don't expect you to be right on it. But I also don't like just saying, total eclipse, total eclipse, total eclipse. And now, Tom, the word has lost all meaning and your show stinks. 18 does not seem like a lot. That's barely won a game. But I will say, I'm going to say no Eclipse. Turns out the weathermen were wrong.
Take that, astronomers. Yeah, it is. The last time Ohio State got even close to that was 15 back in 2019. And in 2016, they did have 21. So that's the last time they did eclipse that mark. So, yeah, I think that's going to be challenging to get there. Tony, as a hater, again, only thinking they're going to play 13 games. I mean, listen, I didn't say it. He did. Rewind it. Go ahead. Download the show again and make sure I was telling the truth there. Yeah, I think that's going to be challenging to get there. Would probably say less than 50% that they match or exceed that mark. Here's another one that's challenging, Tony. Last year, the defense allowed 11.2 points per game. That was second in the nation, but would have been good for first in the nation in a lot of recent years. Will Ohio State's defense eclipse that, allowing fewer than 11.2 points per game this year?
That's a tough one because the schedule, again, the non-conference is not very good, but it's not like Notre Dame lit them up last year. That's just a very low number, and I don't know that you can expect to be lower than that. Again, I don't expect them to be right at it either. That would be even more odd. But the defense, by everybody's account, should be better. I mean, you've got Caleb Downs coming in, the defensive line. Everybody is very motivated. Everybody's a year older, a year better. There is talent everywhere. Brian Day is expecting a better defense. Jim Knowles is expecting a better defense. So if this is a better defense, would they give up fewer points per game? I mean, that math doesn't make sense to me. So I guess based on that, and I don't know the last time they were lower than this, maybe 2007, they had like the nation's top scoring defense, but you saw what happened in the BCS title game that year. So 11.2, is that what you said, Tom?
11.2, yes.
Oh, man.
And I will remind you, you are under oath.
I know. And I'm going to say no Eclipse because you know why, Tom? At least they're going to give up a touchdown or so every game, I think, from the second team defense. And in terms of not every game, but the second team defense is going to give up some points because I think they're going to be out there quite a bit in the fourth quarter. So I will say no Eclipse again will not happen.
All right. So last year, do you know there was only one team that gave up fewer points than them? They gave up 10.4 points per game. Do you know which team that was?
That would be the Michigan Wolverines.
It was the Michigan Wolverines, 10.4. That was good for number one in the nation last year. Tony, do you know the last time a team in the United States of America in football bowl subdivision gave up fewer than 10 points per game?
I do not. Would it have been a Nick Saban defense?
It would have been a Nick Saban defense, 8.2 points in 2011. That was the year that they played the 9-6 game against LSU in the regular season and then didn't let LSU get across the 50-yard line in the national championship. So I was going to ask you if they were going to eclipse that. Unfortunately, you disappointed me and said that no, they weren't going to do the other earlier ones. So that's fine. Let's see if you can end on a positive note here, Tony. Current record in Ohio State football history is 3 postseason games in one season. Tony, do the Ohio State Buckeyes eclipse their previous record by playing 4 or more postseason games, including the Big Ten championship game and college football playoff?
Yeah, I do. I keep calling this a 16-game season. So total eclipse, Tom. I believe that the moon will move in front of the sun completely in direct eyesight and a line of sight with us. So I do expect more than 3 playoff games, postseason games. And I'm not expecting that to be a first round game somewhere. Like I'm expecting the bye in there. So yes, Tom, I think 4 is the target. That's what I've been operating on. That's why I'm going over on all of these things, or that's why I'm going full total eclipse on so many of these numbers, is because I believe that they will play 16 games this year.
Well, you heard it here first. Save those Eclipse glasses. You may need them for this fall. Ohio State football going to be eclipsing a lot of previous marks, unless Tony's wrong, which, I mean, that probably also hasn't happened since 1806. So you have that to look forward to this fall. We appreciate you sticking with us through, Tony's commitment to the bit. We appreciate your commitment to us and to this show. We appreciate your commitment to us at BuckeyeHuddle.com, where we have many of our wonderful listeners and viewers here are also members there. We would love to see you there if you're not already a member. It is a fantastic place to talk Ohio State football, and it should be what should be a very, very special and memorable season, certainly shaping up that way. We're going to have plenty of coverage of the Buckeyes down the home stretch of spring football this week, heading into Saturday's spring game at Ohio Stadium. Kick off at noon on Fox. We will be there. We'll have all sorts of coverage, plenty of stuff to talk about, plenty of stuff to discuss and learn. And then we'll have a whole fun summer of anticipation as we head into the football season 2024. Cannot wait. So make sure you wear your glasses today. Don't go blind. There's going to be a very exciting football season coming up that you're going to want to watch. So make sure we will be back tomorrow with a whole new look at probably less of a hackneyed kind of gimmick show tomorrow. Hopefully, maybe we'll see. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.